Your next Secretary of Defense, General Mad Dog Mattis. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, President-elect, for the confidence that you have shown in me. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm grateful for the opportunity to return to our troops, their families, the civilians of the Department of Defense, because I know how committed they are and devoted they are to the defense of our country, the defense of our Constitution. And with our allies strengthened, with our country strengthened, I look forward to being the civilian leader so long as the Congress gives me the waiver and the Senate votes to consent. Thank you very much.
What a great guy. He's going to be incredible. He'll get that waiver, right? He's going to get that.
No way. No way to negotiate with them or to fulfill anything that they have done. Well, it is a real great honor and pleasure to welcome you, Secretary of Defense, not only as the Secretary of our greatest ally, but also as a former general, and not only a general, a real soldier and a leader to lead soldiers, it means to lead what you called a teamwork. And every one of our former generals are respecting you so much, saying that you was one of the greatest leaders and generals of the Army, and they are appreciating very much. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Americans and our allies about helping us and supporting us with the MOU, signing the MOU, helping us very much. And I would like really to emphasize that, carrying the burden of security that falls on our shoulders, and you know what are those burdens. And after the MOU, I know that every one of us remember the need of the QME, which is something that in Hebrew sounds very good, because in Hebrew we have the word QME. And I know that everyone is paying a lot of attention to this need. Mm-hmm. We are very committed to the need to build, the need of building trust with the Palestinians. And I know how you are devoted to this mission. Mm-hmm. And I believe that our future is to understand that we are not doomed to live together. Our destiny is to live together. Nevertheless, the miss of trust between the two people, make it almost impossible to find a way in order to bring to an end not only a conflict but a real tragedy. We are living together. We are sharing the same land. We have responsibilities, but we have to trust each other in order to understand that we can live together. Unfortunately, for the time being, we are wasting a lot, 120 years. It's not only one side, it's both sides, but the rejection of many of our neighbors, the Palestinians, our cousins, the Palestinians, to the very idea of the existence of the state of Israel really does not help us in the last 100 years since the Sykes-Picot Agreement. But I would like to also emphasize that I'm not so sure. Actually, I'm not sure at all that bringing to an end the conflict, which is a must, will bring us to any kind of solution to what is going on here in the region. We have learned in universities and in the army that the enemy of your enemy is your friend. Unfortunately, not necessarily so. We find ourselves in a position that we are surrounded by more than 5 armies. Every one of them is fighting the other one. No one of them is really feeling a lot of sympathy to the state of Israel. And that goes on, and what is going on here. And now we have new neighbors, and the Russians, and I met President Putin, and he was talking to me saying, "You are a very good friend of the Americans." I say, I confess, I admit with a lot of pride. Tell them that we are going to keep every interest that we find as necessary for us in all around the world, especially on the Black Sea. And we got to understanding about, with your knowledge, of course, about the details that we had to understand and to find a way in order to cooperate on a tactic basis in order to make it possible for all of us to be on the same Earth space when you have the SA-300. And because of that, Mr. Secretary, I would like to welcome you once again. You know that we are facing a lot of challenges, and the need to understand that in the Middle East there are no shortcuts. No shortcuts. Every challenge is an opportunity. Nevertheless, some of the challenges should be handled. I would like to thank the former President Obama and President Trump about the understanding of the needs of Israel, and we are looking forward. And we are looking forward, knowing that we have a great friend in the Pentagon and in the administration, and we welcome you from the bottom of our heart. Thank you so very much.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, for making time. I know how busy you are. But it's an honor and a privilege to be here, the first member of the new administration's cabinet to visit Israel. We are committed to Israel's defense. We support Israel's internal security and Israel's external security. Obviously, the week before the Holocaust Remembrance Time, it's important we all remind ourselves, if good people don't band together and work together across all religious and all ethnic lines, then bad people can dominate, and we're not going to allow it. We're going to work very, very closely. My view is that relationships do not stay the same. They either get better or they get weaker. And our commitment is to make these relationships stronger. The military-to-military relationship, Mr. President, has always been good. But I will just tell you that we intend to make it the strongest ever and work with all our friends in the region and elsewhere in terms of security. We have two fundamental threats here. One is from terrorism, the other is from Iran. And we cannot allow those threats to break apart the human connections between those of us who are committed to peace and prosperity and tolerance for each other. And we have seen new challenges arise, but as you point out, there are new opportunities, Mr. President, and we will work together with you and other like-minded nations. We're not alone in how we look at terrorists. We're not alone how we look at Iran's problems. So it's time for us to all work together. But certainly the enduring relationship with Israel will be stronger every day. But thank you again for the very warm welcome, Mr. President.
God bless you. God bless America. God bless President Trump.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Mr. President, thank you. Very kind of you.
I don't know what caused Donald Trump to flip-flop. Maybe he owes massive debts to the Chinese, and they promised to call them in. Remember, he won't tell us what debts he owes to China and to Russia. He won't disclose that information, so we really don't know who's pulling the strings of our president-elect.
Well, I didn't think we were going to all get there so quickly. Ethan, does this make sense to you, or are you scratching your head as well?
It's schizophrenic in terms of he's going one way then the other. And by the way, in terms of diplomacy, the stream of consciousness tweeting is exceptionally dangerous. Go back 100 years to the beginning of World War I, less things have started wars.
Now, Ethan, just in fairness, I did hear a couple folks earlier today defending Mr. Trump here, saying essentially that by saying, hey, keep the drone, no problem, maybe upping the ante a little bit, because when he becomes president and he wants to do something to China, maybe steal one of their drones or steal one of their stealth aircraft or something like that, he can say, well, you know, you took our drone, we're going to take this in return. Is there some power in saying, never mind, we'll see on the playground?
The only power in the way that he approached this is keeping him, you know, unstable. We don't know which way that he's going to be coming at us. This kind of unstable diplomacy I find to be deeply disconcerting. And I guess if that's your approach, is so they never know what's coming next. But that is a very dangerous way to approach diplomacy.
So,
this is why we haven't.
Somebody else
That's why we don't do it that way.
Somebody else who doesn't know what's coming next is James Woolsey, who's former director of the CIA and a Trump advisor. Take a listen to him this morning.
Then Donald Trump tweets, keep the drone. What's going on there?
I don't know. I can't keep up with tweets. I don't do the social media myself, so who knows?
Okay, you better start reading those Donald Trump tweets.
All right, so is this the new reality, Mark, that Twitter diplomacy, you know, never mind all the diplomatic cables and ambassadors and everything else, just set up a Twitter alert?
You know, this is not a game. This is not a joke. The presidency is not some kind of reality show. I want to praise Ethan. It's nice to see right and left agreeing and coming together and being Americans first. We have to protect American security. China and Russia are our biggest enemies. And when Vladimir Putin chooses our president of the United States, puts his thumb on the scales, does the greatest espionage attack in American history certainly since September 11th, this is something that should wake up everyone. I'm really glad to see, for example, Donald Trump finally recognize, but his instincts were to say that Vladimir Putin is telling the truth and our military and our intelligence were lying. That's not the instincts we want in the president of the United States.
Ethan, I'm going to let you respond to that quickly, and then we're going to move on.
Yeah, glad that Mark and I agree on this pretty heavily. Yeah, the Russians attacked us, the Chinese are attacking us, and Donald Trump is defending the people attacking us. That is not what I want from a president. And by the way, this whole idea of a Twitter diplomacy, the only good news is we won't need a WikiLeaks dump to find out about the secret cables.
Well, when it's all right out there, I guess you have a point there. Quickly, guys, we're going to get to Mr. Trump's cabinet. Heard from Phil Keating that he was finishing up the last 2 appointments, possibly today, possibly early this week, maybe before Christmas. The 2 appointments left are Agriculture Secretary and then also the Secretary of the Veteran Affairs Administration. Ethan, first to you. You've been unquestionably hard on Mr. Trump, whether it's in this segment or before. How do you feel about his cabinet now?
Well, I mean, look, I'm going to say General Mattis, there's an unquestionably the best choice possible. We've got Energy Secretary I question deeply. Rick Perry has a terrible track record as a crony capitalist when he was governor of Texas. I mean, look, agriculture, the Republicans have attacked the ag bill and the way we subsidize things like food stamps. I also have attacked the way that we subsidize big ag. Maybe, just maybe, we can come together and say we can reform both of those programs. I don't know.
Conceivably, somebody like Betsy DeVos, though, you can't really take issue with, do you?
Well, I mean, undermining public education and saying we need to exclusively move to a voucher system when we need to move away from public education, publicly funded education, I do find disconcerting because the poorest neighborhoods, those who aren't able to speak for themselves as well as those of us who are doing better in life, I'm concerned about them getting a lesser education. So, yeah, no, I am concerned about her as education secretary.
All right, Ethan. Mark, you heard Ethan. I think he only had one name that he was okay with. Can you give more than one name, or are you just going to go for 0?